What's up guys, welcome back to Community TV, tips and tricks living your best life. In this video, I'm going to be doing another requested video, which is tips on how to give report as a nurse. Right, so this is not going to be like so specific, but this is just going to be basic tips on how to give report as a nurse. Okay, so when you have your report sheet, the first thing you're going to want to do is highlight anything that is very pertinent, that's very important. So for example, follow-up labs, specimen collections are very important. So you're going to want to start off with that. I remember the other SNF I worked in before, that would be a separate sheet where we would have to write the patient's name, write their labs, write when it was collected, what time, and if we're pending orders, if we're waiting for it to come, or if a specimen has to be collected at a certain time, we would have a separate sheet from that. So that shows you how important labs actually are. So first things first, let your nurse know what labs are pending, what labs are we waiting for, and what specimen does she need or he or she needs to get collected on their shift. The second thing is anybody have an appointment. If you're working night shift and you know that patient has an appointment in the morning, say this patient has an appointment at 9 a.m. to see Dr. So-and-so, please make sure that patient is dressed, ready to go. Here, their appointment packet is here, so usually their face sheet, their medication list, everything should already be set up. Or if the morning shift is there, say that the appointment packet is not set up yet, please set it up so that the nurse has to know if somebody is going out on appointment so that the patient is ready to go. So this tip is very important because if a patient is complaining about something, tell the nurse, hey, patient Jamie was complaining about constipation. What I did is I called the doctor and I got an order for lactulose PRN or dactylostat. The patient so far hasn't had a bowel movement, but we are continuing to monitor. Whatever issue you have with the patient, always tell the nurse what actions you did so you don't look like you're a lazy nurse and you were waiting for that nurse to do something about it. So be very specific with the patient's complaint and be very specific and detailed on what you did to help the patient, and ask the nurse to follow up on that patient. Okay, I also really like to mention if a family member is by the patient's bedside, just because some family members can be very anxious. So it's good for the nurse that's coming on to get a heads up, because you never want the family member to be like, oh, who's this? So it's good to tell the nurse, hey, this family member is in their room and this is what to do. But sometimes, usually depending on your facility, you would actually go from room to room so that the nurse can actually look at the patient while you give report. But every facility is different. But if you're not going from room to room, just let them know, hey, this patient's family member is there with them 24/7. This patient's family member sometimes is anxious, so just make sure that you are attentive to that patient's family's needs, because they can be very agitated, blah blah blah. Okay, so for new admissions, you could just read from your new admission note. If you guys want to know tips on how to admit patients to a facility, I just made a video about that, so check out my nursing playlist, it should be there. I go into extreme detail. And the last but not least, you want to endorse anything that you haven't had a chance to do. So especially if you have a new admission, you didn't have enough time to do anything, don't feel ashamed, just endorse it to the nurse. That's all you have to do. Just ask it nicely, say, hey, I didn't get a chance to do this, can you please blah blah blah, can you please do this, put the medications in, or no, you have to put the medications in, but do whatever you gotta do to get it done. Alright guys, so that's how you give report to a nurse. You just be very concise. You just say patient 22A. I'm just gonna give you a little bit of an example of how it goes down. So I would have my report sheet and I would say, hey, patient 16B, she's okay, no new changes. You don't want to give so much detail. Patient 89B, no new changes. Patient 16B was complaining of constipation last night. I gave her lactulose. The doctor said to continue to monitor. She hasn't had bowel movement. Patient 13B, we ordered labs for her for C. diff. We're still waiting for the lab technician to come in to draw blood. Please be on the lookout for her. Patient 18B has dialysis today. Please have her dialysis sheet ready. Please have her vital signs ready. Or you don't have to say that, because usually they know in dialysis you have to get the weight and vital signs before. Patient 18A is complaining that her medication hasn't come yet. Patient 18A has complained that her medication hasn't come yet. Please follow up with the pharmacy to make sure the medication is going to be here, and vice versa. Alright, question 16B. Their family member has been there all night. They seem very agitated. Just keep an eye on her. Make sure that you attend to their family needs because they are very anxious and they are very scared for their family member. Yeah, guys, that's how you give report. You know, just keep it brief, keep it simple. I know some people give advice to be very detailed, but I personally like to keep things brief. If I have to be very detailed because that patient is a new admit or that patient has a serious issue, then of course, yes, I would give detail, but this is just my advice. So this is just my advice to keep things brief, because you have to realize the nurse coming in, sometimes they don't want to hear a whole bunch of stuff. Sometimes they're not listening. Sometimes they say, hey, hurry up, you know. Not saying that you shouldn't do your job because someone else is hurrying you up, but a lot of times it's good to keep things brief and simple so that the other nurse could get started on her shift. Alright guys, so if you guys have any comments, don't forget to leave down below. Please give this video a thumbs up. It really helps. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!